Hello students, welcome to this online course of Water Resource Engineering. So today we are going to start our new topic, which is soil moisture irrigation relationship. In this we will be seeing how we are going to use the soil moisture and how this soil moisture is related, how this soil moisture will be useful in irrigation purpose. So the water below the water table is known as groundwater, and above the water table it is known as soil moisture. So this is soil surface. Below this, at this point, water table is situated. So below this water we will be terming it as groundwater, and above this groundwater table till the surface, soil surface, we will be terming it as soil moisture. Further, this soil moisture is also divided into different zones. So up to certain limit, the water in the soil zone, in the soil pores, will be available with the help of capillary action. So till that point, this zone is termed as capillary zone. And from the surface up to certain distance, the soil, the water, the roots will be extended. So that will be termed as root zone or soil zone. Between these two zones there is a intermediate zone. So extending down from the ground surface is the soil zone or the root zone, which is defined as being the depth of overburden that is penetrated by the roots of the vegetation. So this will be a average value of various different experimental data. With the help of that only we can define the root zone. This zone is the most important sorry, from irrigation point of view, because in this zone from which the plants do take their water supplies. So for irrigation purpose, this zone is the most important zone for us, because we want to supply the water to the root zone of the crops for their nourishment. When water falls over the ground, a part of it gets absorbed in this zone and the rest flows downward under the action of gravity and is called gravity water. So if water is coming in the form of precipitation, rainfall, or in the form of irrigation water, that water will be penetrated, it will penetrate the surface and it will be absorbed by the soil zone, and the rest will be flown under the effect of gravity action. So let us understand one of the most important concept relating to irrigation: field capacity. So immediately after a rain or irrigation water application, when all the gravity water has drained down the water table, a certain amount of water is retained on the surface of soil grains by molecular attraction and by loose chemical bonds. This water cannot be easily drained under the action of gravity and is called the field capacity. So whatever water is coming in the form of rainfall or in the form of irrigation water, it will be held against gravity. So that water, that portion of water which is held against gravity, means it cannot be flown under the action of gravity. That water is termed as field capacity. So the field capacity is thus the water content of a soil after free drainage has taken place for a sufficient period. So water is applied, water is being left, and we will wait for the draining of the water, and after that some sufficient period will be allowed, and after that whatever water is remaining which was upheld by against the gravity is called as field capacity. This period of free gravity drainage is generally taken as 2 to 5 days. So we will allow the water to drain under the action of gravity for 2 to 5 days. After that, whatever remaining against the action of gravity will be termed as field capacity. The field capacity water further consists of two parts. One part is that which is attached to the soil molecules by surface tension against gravitational force. So first will be surface tension, and the action will be capillary action. So this water is called capillary water. So it will have a two further classification. First is capillary water, the water held with the help of capillary action against gravitation. The other part is attached to the soil molecules by loose chemical bonds. This water, which cannot be removed by capillarity, is not available to the plants and is called the hygroscopic water. So the field capacity is divided into two portions, capillary water and hygroscopic water. So capillary water is available for plants growth. Plants can be plants can extract the water with the action of capillary action, but this water, which is loose chemically bonded, cannot be extracted, and hence it is termed as hygroscopic water. Field capacity, that is the quantity of water which any soil can retain indefinitely against gravity, is expressed as the ratio of the weight of water contained in the soil to the weight of the dry soil retaining that water. So this is the basic definition of field capacity. Field capacity is the ratio of weight of water retained in a certain volume of soil divided by weight of the same volume of dry soil. So let us understand what this equation is stating. So this is the volume we are considering. Let us say the area is 1 meter square and the depth will be d. So volume will be d into depth into area. So d multiplied by 1 will be d. So if we consider 1 meter square of soil and d meter depth of root zone, then the volume of soil is d into 1. So this is volume. If the dry unit weight of soil is gamma d kilonewton per meter cube. So gamma d dry unit weight you might have learned in the soil mechanics. Various type of density we used to define there. So here we are focusing on dry density. So if dry density is gamma d, so weight of the soil, dry soil, will be this density multiplied by volume. Volume is d, so gamma d multiplied by d kilonewton. So this is the weight of dry soil in this particular volume. So F is field capacity. It was defined as weight of water retained in unit area of soil. So this weight of soil in this volume divided by dry volume. So dry volume is gamma d into d. So we can determine weight of water retained in the unit area as gamma d into F. So this term will go here. So gamma d into d into F will be weight of water retained in unit area of soil. So volume of water stored. So we are having weight. If we will divide this volume, this weight by the density of water, then we will have volume of water stored in the unit area of soil. So gamma d into F was weight divided by volume of water. So this is the volume of water stored in the unit area of that soil. So this is volume per meter square, that is volume per unit area. It is nothing but the depth only. So depth of water stored in the root zone in filling the soil up to field capacity will be this. So if you are providing this much depth of water in the field, so the water level in the field or you can say the moisture level will reach up to the field capacity of that particular soil. So the knowledge of field capacity is very important. Because why it is important? It is the field capacity water which can supply water for plant nourishment. So this is field capacity. If the water is up to field capacity, then only the plant will be nourished properly. The total field capacity water cannot be utilized by the plant. Okay, this is like 100% utilization is not possible. The permanent wilting point, it is a point sorry for that. The permanent wilting point is that water content at which the plant can no longer extract sufficient water for its growth. If the water has reached this point, permanent wilting point, so the water for plant growth is practically zero. So the plant will wilt, or wilt mean dies. So the plants will no longer they are able to grow, and they will wilts up, and finally they will die. So permanent wilting point is the point at which permanent wilting of plants take. It therefore becomes evident that the water which is available to the plants is the difference of field capacity water and permanent wilting point. So for the growth of plant, what is the water content available? It should be greater than permanent wilting point and it should be equal to field capacity. So the difference between field capacity and permanent wilting point is the water which is available for plants growth. This is known as available moisture or maximum storage capacity of the soil. So this will be available moisture to the plants. The water left in the soil after the permanent yielding point is reached cannot be removed and is known as unavailable moisture or hygroscopic water. So this water is the same which we have seen. So we can see with the help of a diagram. So if this is moisture content, this is time. So field capacity is somewhere here, permanent wilting point is somewhere here. So this is the below permanent wilting point is non-available water. Above is available moisture. So full water is not available. So up to some water we cannot use. So optimum moisture content and field moisture content, field capacity moisture content is the available, readily available water. So let us see what is readily available moisture. It is that portion if the available moisture which is most easily extracted by the plants. So if the water is above optimal moisture content, so it is very much easy for plants to extract this water. If it is below optimum moisture content, so it is tough for plants to extract water. So that's why this the moisture content between optimum and field capacity is termed as readily available moisture. It is taken as 70 to 75 to 80% of the available moisture. So what is soil moisture deficiency? It is the water required to bring the soil moisture content of a given soil to its field capacity is called the field moisture deficiency or soil moisture deficiency. Why we are terming as field moisture deficiency? Because below field capacity the plants will not be able to grow properly. So, means they are deficient in water. So we have to remove that deficiency by supplying irrigation water. So that's why this water which is deficient to make this water moisture content of that particular field to field capacity is termed as soil moisture deficiency. What is equivalent moisture? It is the water retained by a saturated soil after being centrifuged for 30 minutes by a centrifugal force of 1000 times that of gravity. So the force is applied 1000 times G and it is for 30 minutes it is centrifuged. So that water retained is termed as equivalent moisture. It is slightly less or at the most equal to the field capacity. So the soil moisture is not allowed to be depleted up to the wilting point as it would result in considerable fall of crop yield. This we have understood. So we in no situation or in no case we will not allow the water to reach the wilting point. The optimum level up to which the soil moisture may be allowed to be depleted in the root zone without fall of crop yield has to be worked out for every crop and soil by experimentation. So this optimum level we have to work out, we have to calculate, we have to determine with the help of various experimental results. The irrigation water should be supplied as soon as the moisture falls up to this optimum level, and its quantity should be just sufficient to bring the moisture content up to its field capacity, making allowance for application losses. So the moment we have calculated or we have determined that the water level has reached up to optimum level, so below optimum level it was very tough for plants to extract, because we have seen this that readily available moisture is up to optimum level only. So the moment the water is reaching optimum level, we have to supply water to bring this water level to the readily or field capacity. Then only this the plant will be able to grow properly. So water will be utilized by the plants after the fresh irrigation dose is given and soil moisture will start falling. Okay, so we have started here. So as the time passes, water will use the water, plants will use the water and the moisture content will start decreasing. The moment we are reaching optimum level, we have to supply water. So water level will become at equal to field capacity. Again the time passes, so this time duration, this will be equal to frequency. It will again be recouped by a fresh dose of irrigation as soon as the moisture reaches the optimum level. So this interval is, we can say it, frequency of irrigation. After after a particular interval of time, we have to put irrigation water, so that particular interval is termed as what, frequency of irrigation. So let us solve some few problems to get the idea of field capacity. So first question is, after how many days will you supply water to soil in order to ensure sufficient irrigation of the given crop? So here we have to calculate the frequency only. So given, what are the values given? Field capacity of the soil is 28%, permanent wilting point is 13%, dry density is 1.3 gram per centimeter cube or gram per cc, effective depth of root zone is 70 centimeter, daily consumptive use of water for the given crop is 12 mm. So what will be the available moisture? It is the difference between field capacity and permanent wilting point. So 28 minus 13, it is 15%. So readily available moisture, let us say it is 80%, because the range was 75 to 80. So we are assuming as 0.8. 80% is the readily available moisture. So available moisture is 15. Readily available moisture will be 0.8 times 15. So it is 12%. So optimum moisture is, it is difference between a field capacity and readily available moisture. So 28 minus 12, it is coming out to be 16. So this is our optimum moisture. The moment we are reaching at this point, we have to supply the water. So we have to calculate how much days will it take the water level or moisture content to reach from 28 to this point. So it means that the moisture will be filled by irrigation between 16 and 28. So the moment we are reaching 16%, we have to fill the water to make it 28%. So what else information is given? Depth of water stored in root zone between these two limits. So what is the depth of water stored? So gamma D into D divided by gamma W, and the difference of these two limits. So field capacity minus optimum moisture. So 1.3 upon 1 into 0.7 is 70 centimeter. Field capacity is 28. Optimum moisture is 16. So this is the 10.92 is the depth of water stored between field capacity and optimum moisture content. So water available for evapotranspiration is 10.92 centimeter. Every day 12 mm is getting lost. So time required for irrigation will be 10.92. We have to check how many days will it take with the rate of 1.2 mm per day or 1.2 centimeter per day to reach this value. So 10.92 divided by 1.2, it is coming out to be 9.1 days. So we will be providing irrigation water after 9 days to overcome these losses. So let us solve one more problem. So we have to determine the field capacity of a soil for the following data. So depth of root zone is 1.8 meter. Dry density of soil is 1450 kg per meter cube. Existing moisture is 8%. Quantity of water applied to soil is 650 meter cube. Water lost due to deep percolation and evaporation is 10%. Area to be irrigated is 1000 meter cube. So how much volume is getting wasted? It is 10% of the quantity of water applied to soil. So 650, 10% of 650 is 65 meter cube. Now water is used in raising moisture content or water content up to field capacity is how much water is available. It will be provided minus losses. So 650 minus 65 is 585 meter cube. So the depth of water used in raising water content up to field capacity from the existing 8% is, how will you will calculate the depth? Volume divided by area. So volume provided is 585, area of the field is 1000 meter cube, so it will be 0.585 meters. But this 0.585 meters will be the depth between field capacity and available existing moisture. So 0.585 is equal to gamma d into d upon gamma w, and the difference of these two limits, so f minus 0.08. So simple calculation is there. F is coming out to be 0.304 or 30.4. So the field capacity of this given particular soil is 30.4. So in this way we have completed our first unit. So I hope you have learned so many things. If you are having any doubt, please ask. In the next class we will be starting the canal design. So this is all for today. Thank you.